The dogs, in association with the British Greyhound Racing Board.
Coming up on this week's edition of The Dogs, the Rye House revival continues with a gala card.
We check out the £6,000 Coral Golden Sprint Final from Romford.
But first, a trainer who grabbed the headlines last week with 10 winners at Hove. Remember these?
It's Johnny Lyer out in front, trying to improve his Ballysbrazil star, but Johnny Lyer makes most to win the sprint. And off the final bend, it's Droopys Emlyn by 2 lengths. Droopys Emlyn wins. It's all about Shelbourne. Nina got a great start. She's off very wide off this final bend. Going to make all here from in second place at the moment, Pure Diggage. And they're up the home straight, and BALLYBRAZIL Hero just forges on, the grouping up for second. It's Droopys Oasis trying to win the Courage Olympic final for a second time. Droopys Oasis does it, and does it in style. It's Frosty back in action on his home track. Big Breeze wins, and wins well from Muttoneer. Around the final bend, and Greenacre Lynn being tackled by Kaluna Striker, but she's digging deep. It's 10 winners for Brian CLEMENSON.
And this is where they're trained, the Sussex kennels of Brian CLEMENSON. Brian and his team had their hands full when we caught up with them last week. He's one of the country's best trainers now, but how did this success story start?
I started in '79. I started a youth training scheme, which I believe was very new in them days. And I went for an interview at Ernie Wiley's, and his wife then, Eunice, basically scared me. Said, are you going to take the job? And I didn't want to say no, and I was really scared, so I took the job even though I didn't really want the job at all. But since then, obviously, then I moved on and done a 10-year apprenticeship, 5 years with Ernie Wiley and 5 years with Ken Lindsell. Then I trained on my own from '89, obviously, to the present day.
Brian's come a long way from that YTS scheme. From this superb setup, he's trained plenty of champions, and his dogs fly the flag for the Hove-based handler week in, week out. But it's not always been like this.
Didn't have any money. My parents weren't very wealthy, so I went to a number of banks. 4 banks turned me down for a £5,000 bank loan. NatWest Bank, they actually said yes. I had a very old-fashioned bank manager, and I think he liked me. I had to do a business plan. And one of my owners, Nick Buddymere, he guaranteed the loan for me. So I was able to sort of rent a kennels. At the time I couldn't drive, so I had to do a crash course in driving tests. So by the time I've actually got the kennels running, I had about £500 left with no dogs. So it was very difficult, but I started right at the bottom, so although I do well now, people don't assume that I haven't been through the mill.
The CLEMENSON name is now one of the most well-known in the sport. Brian's been extremely successful and has a kennel chock full of talent. But in his words, he's taken hits along the way. One such was losing the 2003 St Ledger after Shelbourne Star tested positive for a banned substance, which raised questions about the kennel security at Wimbledon.
This was basically our opinion. The security wasn't as we thought it maybe should have been. The NGRC and Wimbledon had a different opinion to us. They were comfortable that everything was right. We felt that it wasn't 100%. But as a trainer, as you rightly say, if I'm 24 hours responsible all times, I would like the best security I could have to protect myself.
But isn't that, in the present day, isn't that just you sitting by a kennel until she races?
Well, this is what Roy Feldman said. He said next time I get a top-class dog in a competition, I would want someone outside a kennel at all times. It's difficult to actually do that, obviously. I don't know if they would like people in there. But it's a difficult one. I know I certainly didn't give Medicam to Shelbourne Star because I knew it would be a positive test anyhow, so it's pointless running the dog because you're going to be positive Group 1 and all testing anyway. So you know that's going to happen. But as I say, you know, they had a different opinion to us, and you know, I do come back. It's going to make it more positive for me. Although I haven't now won the Ledger now, you can bet your bottom dollar it's not going to be long coming. It's now a personal crusade to go and win the Ledger. I've got more of a zest to win the Ledger, you know. It's coming to me.
A brilliant member of the team at Clemo's Kennel, Shelbourne's Star, seen here winning at Wimbledon, came from the Shelbourne Stud run by Brian King. And heading in the other direction is another brilliant member of the team, assistant trainer Nigel Wareham, who takes up a post at the breeding and training establishment soon.
Nigel, we've been with Brian for over 5 years now. You've done the dirty on him.
I'm afraid I have, yeah. I've been offered a chance to go and train for the Shelbourne Stud, to train the puppies once they come in from the school in pens, and I think it's a nice opportunity for me. I'm always enjoyed doing puppies. I actually breed myself as well, and it just is too good an opportunity to turn down, unfortunately.
Well, before we talk about your future, what's it like working with Brian?
He's just the best, simply. I mean, he's the easiest man to work for in the country. He's the kind of man who leaves you to get on with it. He gives you the credit when it's due, and he gives you a rough time when it's due. But he's actually the easiest person that you could ever wish to work for.
One of Nigel's greatest moments was preparing and leading up Big Freeze in last year's Derby final at Wimbledon. The big dog heads Clemenson's team for this year's William Hill sponsored classic. But how does the trainer rate the kennel's chance of landing the £100,000 first prize?
No, I've been second obviously last year, and I've had 2/3 and I've had a 4th as well. I think now the last couple of years I'm probably becoming good enough trainer to win the Derby. Obviously it's having the required dog that they can do it for you as well. We've got a number of dogs, obviously got world class, excellent dog from Ireland. You know, he's been around for a little while now, and you don't make these major finals and won big races unless you have a bit of class. And to win a Derby final, or at least make the final, you do need that class. He's certainly good enough, injury permitting. We expect him to go extremely well, just if Lady Luck is on her side.
Another plough lane probable is ex-Irish Johnny Lyer, who came over with a big reputation but had his problems before winning for the first time in a sprint race at Hove a fortnight ago.
You don't have a magic wand and to say, like, this happens for me now. You have to wait really for when the dog comes right as well. And when the dog comes right, then you can start training and go a little bit heavier into your training. So it's a case of picking your right time to put the dog over 4 bends. He's run 4 bends before anyhow. But you know, I did actually want a dog with great early pace for the Derby. I normally got the dogs with just shade short of early pace. So it's nice to have in your armoury a dog that has genuine early pace. The Shelbourne Nina, we've made a decision to go for the Derby with her. She's now really starting to fulfil promise, which I knew she had as a novice. And she's got terrific early. So it'll be one that will really be interesting to see, because she's got a lot of improvement in her. She's done 29.60 as Big Freeze did at Brighton.
Now tell us about Big Freeze, who's almost as known as by his nickname now, Frosty. Obviously he was second in the final last year, tremendous run last year, and then completely lost his way.
Yeah, certainly for the Derby final, you know, we trained him to as top as we could possibly get him. Basically after the final, he trained out basically. He went completely over the top, as athletes do. So basically he's had the rest of the year off, he's had a winter off. We just forgot about him, just let him find his own way. And he's actually come back this season probably better now than what he was when he was running well. And he does have this love affair with Wimbledon. He absolutely adores Wimbledon, which, you know, you're 50% there really if the dog likes a particular track. I couldn't be more happier with him than what I am at the present, and this time around he's a ready-made article.
Another member of your kennels that's won plenty of good races for you, never quite seems to get the recognition, is BALLYBRAZIL Hero.
That's right, when he was a young puppy there was Solid Money, Big Freeze and BALLYBRAZIL Hero. They were the outstanding dogs of the young generation at Brighton. he never has really got the recognition which he deserves. His record is probably as good, if not better, as Big Freeze or Solid Money. He's the track record holder at Brighton, 29-27. He won the Eclipse at Nottingham, which is Group 1. He won the Sussex Cup at Brighton, which is Group 1. And his record win-to-run ratio is outstanding. He's never really had Wimbledon. He's never actually been there. He's been there one race, but this time he actually prepared for Wimbledon. And again, very experienced, very professional. The only post favourite is Robbie De Niro. He only beat him 2 lengths after an outstanding start in the Trainers' Championship. So again, he's got that experience.
Another well-regarded member of the team is Eclipse second By the Rumour, who Brian thinks should go well at Wimbledon and will be trained for the Classic. There are top-notch performers wherever you turn at Clemo's kennel, and the trainer has pretty much won the lot. But what's the one thing he's truly after? Is it Derby glory? Well, that would be nice, of course. But what does he really desire?
Get respect, really, from the people that I want respect from, which I'm slowly starting to get from Charlie Lister and Bob Rowe. People, particularly Bob Rowe, hold him in massive admiration. It's probably to get respect, really. Just to turn around when I do actually retire, or whenever that could be, next year or 20 years' time, to say that, I come up the hard way. No one gave me nothing. I train at the top level and always been honest.
In part 2 of the Dogs, we're off to Rye House for the Hertfordshire Derby. Welcome back to part 2 of the Dogs. Montmore last Thursday staged the £2,000 final of the Greyhound Studbook Trophy. Favourite for the race was Westmead Eagle in Trap 6, who briefly held the track record at Montmore back in March. Little brother Westmead Hawk was in 4. And they're off, and what a good start there from Elderby Veron in 2, leading Romeo Paddy in 3. After this comes 1, Romeo Sahar. So go round the bend, and it's still Elderby Veron with the lead here, about half length over 3. Romeo Paddy racing in 2nd. After these, Romeo Sahar. Good ground being made up by Westmead Hawk. After these comes 5, Colestown Boy, and finally Westmead Eagle. They go round the second last bend, and Elderby Veron now being picked up by Westmead Hawk. We know is powerful, and Westmead Hawk takes over. Westmead Hawk flies away with this one. Elderby Veron back in 2nd. Westmead Hawk going on to win in 28-24 for trainer Nick Sava, paying a compliment to Ballymek Perez, who finished in front of him in the Midland Puppy Derby final. Romford on Friday, and before we show you the feature, the Coral Golden Sprint, here's the Stayers final, where Sportsman's Prince and Little Honcho, 1st and 2nd in the Coronation Cup earlier in the year, were headed by Burn Park Honcho in the betting. And they're off and racing up towards the first bend. A good break from 3 in the centre, Burn Park Honcho, but the pace coming with Sportsman's Prince on the inside, and that one goes on. Sportsman's Prince holds the sway here. Burn Park Honcho giving a bit of a bump there as 2 rushes forward. That's Joe Bio trying to make some progress as Little Honcho as they go around the 3rd bend. It's Sportsman's Prince, the leader here, leading by a length from Joe Bio. After this comes Little Honcho, then comes Burn Park Honcho. They come down towards the 5th bend, and it's Sportsman's Prince grittily in front, leading here. Little Honcho around the outside of Joe Bio. They're grouping up off the final turn. It's out in front, Sportsman's Prince, but Little Honcho's too strong. Little Honcho wins. Linda Prue's Little Honcho going on to score in 36.01, beating Sportsman's Prince and turning the tables on that rival by a length. It was 5 to do the field for the Coral Golden Sprint final. Denmark Nick, trained by Peter Rich, had recorded the quickest time in the semis, was well drawn in Trap 1. He was the favourite ahead of the old-timer, Matt's My Son, in 3. And away they go. Slow start there from Trap 5 for Larkhill Hayes, but it's Droopy Sama rushing up on the outside of 4. Funchin Magpie, who was forced to check, bumped into 3. Also there, Matt's My Son as they go down the far side. And at the moment, Droopy Sama with a lead of 4 lengths over 4. Funchin Magpie 3. That's Matt's My Son. The others getting each other's way a little bit there, trying to improve. It's Larkhill Hayes. They come around the final bend, but it's all about Droopy Sama. Wins and makes all here from Funchin Magpie and Larkhill Hayes. Droopy Samo then winning for Paul Young, used to be trained by Liz McNair, but now with Paul, and going on to win the big one, the Coral Golden Sprint final. Over the bridge in Hertfordshire to a provincial track that has had a checkered past. Rye House. The Rye reopened recently under new management and has not only attracted back the old regulars but also plenty of new faces. In 2004 it all looked pretty dire for Rye House, but new general manager Sue Picton had better news for our reporter Dave Lawrence.
5 months ago the future of Rye House looked pretty bleak, and thanks to all the owners and trainers who have pledged their support, we're now up and running and we've got a lovely night like this to look forward to greyhound racing.
A real grassroots track with plenty of involvement from owner trainers, but also attracting some of the big names of the sport.
Yes, we've always had a support from some of the bigger trainers and we're hoping to get support more. We're going to have some invitation races for £500 and hopefully try and invite some more of the bigger trainers, you know, likes of Charlie Lister and Barry Draper, hopefully.
On Rye's featured night, we spotted Walthamstow trainer Mick Pusey in the crowd.
Rye House is really on the up now. Spending a lot of money here, grassroots racing, the locals, the trainers have put their money into this place to keep it going, and I think they make a real good job of it. Very, very pleased with them.
We can't let you go without asking you a quick question about how the man is, Fire Height Dan. When are we going to see him back on track?
Dan's doing very nicely. He starts galloping this Tuesday for 10 days or so, and then we start looking to Wimbledon just for the Derby. He won't go anywhere else. Well, time's run out anyway, so it's Derby only, and he looks really, really good in himself now.
Rye House has a real variety in racing these days, with 7 different distances and 2 winning posts. Let's look back at the Rye Mini from Sunday, over 383 metres, a short dash to the bend, but also the unusual finish just after the 4th turn. And they're off and racing out towards the first bend. Good break from Thank You Madam in 5. Also 1 Trisha's Brooklyn, the favourites at Lexington Avenue, away slowly in 2, and in a few problems at the first bend, heading down the far side. Trisha's Brooklyn on the inside of Thank You Madam. Close in behind comes Combridge Fizz. Here comes Lexington Avenue now, but runs right into trouble there at the 3rd bend. This leaves Thank You Madam out clear. Around the final bend, up towards the winning line. Thank You Madam wins, with back in 2nd, Combridge Fizz. Punters faring okay as second favourite Thank You Madam wins the Rye Mini. The bookmakers at Rye, though, are a hardy bunch.
I've been actually coming to Rye House for over 30 years, but I've been making a book here for the last 19, nearly 20 years.
You've seen a few changes since you've been here?
I've definitely seen a few changes over the years, but probably the most dramatic change has been over the last few months. The track's now under new management, now under the Rye Racing banner. Crowds are up, turnover's up, and things are looking pretty good at the moment.
I understand that the bookmakers have done their bit by contributing to help keep this place running.
Yeah, that's right. We had a meeting with the Owner Trainer Association, and between the owner trainers and the stadium bookmakers actually contributed in excess of £30,000 towards the upstart of Rye House. So that's been good, been very good, tremendous support. Yeah.
And what's the market like here at Rye?
Yeah, it's a good, strong market for a provincial track. It's very good. £500, £1,000 bets are commonplace, especially on the open race evenings, and accommodated by the stadium bookmakers quite readily. Yeah, it's a good market.
At Rye House, it might not be silver service, but it's a warm and friendly atmosphere, with the fish and chips a delight for the customers. There are tote terminals, a really relaxed atmosphere in the long bar, which is well stocked, and punters can celebrate a win or drown their sorrows. Rye House is a good night out for young and old alike, especially on their popular Sunday evening open race card. There's even an executive lounge for corporate entertainment.
Peter, how long have you been involved here at Rye House?
Well, since before it closed in October last year. We were racing as it was under the other management, then they closed it. And then we got together as a band with all the trainers and owners. We had a special meeting and raised £30,000 in one night to take over racing here, where Sue Picton was put in as promoter.
And you've got some dogs here yourself?
Yeah, anything with a prefix Noah is mine. And unfortunately I've just come second in the last race, which is a bit of a blow, but I'll have to have a word with the wife on that one.
And Viresh, how did your firm get involved with sponsoring a race at Rye House?
Oh, predominantly because of Peter. I've known Peter for 2 years now, Peter? Yeah. He works for, obviously, a BMW, and that's where I bought my car, and had past interest in greyhounds, but predominantly at Catford races. And Peter said there was an opportunity to do some sponsoring at Rye House, and that's how we got involved.
And the stadium are looking after you and your partners tonight?
Fabulously well. Very good setup here, and staff very friendly. Everyone's been very friendly.
A spacious kennelling area at Rye House, and on their biggest night of the year so far, they were blessed with beautiful weather. So on to the £5,000 Hertfordshire Derby final, sponsored by DKLL Solicitors. An open betting heat where Tainsleigh, the track record holder, were sent off the 2-1 favourite from trap 6. And they're off and running and racing out towards the first bend. Good break here from Tornaroy Title in 3. That's going to lead him up early from 4, Apache Junction. That's diving for the rails and causes problems for both Cooley Nelson in 1 and Hyperlink in 2 as they go down the far side. And Tornaroy Title now taken on by Tainsleigh. In behind comes McPusey's Abbott Pete. After these, trying to stay on again is Cooley Nelson as they come round the second last bend. But it's Tornaroy Title getting the better of the battle to go on here. It's 3, Tornaroy Title to win here for Maria Dennis. Tornaroy Title wins the first Hertfordshire Derby final. Tornaroy Title making all for Maria Dennis in 29.64, beating Tainsleigh by 3 lengths. A busy and appreciative crowd looking on to a real family occasion. It's certainly been a good start to the year for Maria Dennis.
Yes, we have. We've only got 4 dogs in the kennel, which Tony's wife owns two of them. So, which Tornaroy Title is one of them. And no, we hold our own with our 4 little dogs.
And Tony, have you had many dogs before Tornaroy Title?
I've been through quite a few dogs in my time, yeah. Been in the game quite a lot of years actually, and we had a finalist in the 92 Derby with Windsor Abbey. So, and it took a lot of years to get anything like something near as good as he was, to 2005. Tornaroy's a good dog. We thought we had something special around Christmas time. He had a good race at Milton Keynes down a 26.50 round. Yeah.
So what would the target be now? Would you go for the Greyhound Derby with him?
I don't know. We might well give him a trial round here and see how he goes. The one good thing is that the dog has found his form back again at the right time. So who knows?
A superb night had by all at a track that has at last got some firm foundations.
This is a proper dogman's track. As you know, we had a meeting, we all contributed to get the Ryback racing financially, and everybody here is everybody's friend. They all try, they have their moans and groans, but Rye House is a proper dogman's track.
Coming up on the open race scene this week, it's the heat of the Tote Sport Gold Collar at Bellevue, live on Channel 425 on Thursday, plus opens at Coventry, Milton Keynes, Nottingham and Reading. Friday sees more Channel 425 action with the Northern Puppy St Ledger heats at Sunderland, plus Henlow and Romford. On Saturday, it's the Ocean Trailers Puppy Stakes final at Walthamstow, again on 425. Sheffield, Shawfield, Monmouth and Hove complete the open race action, while on Sunday it's the usual fare: Coventry, Rye House, Sittingbourne and Stainforth. Check out the results for all these meetings at www.thedogs.co.uk. Coming up next week, we'll see how Ted Soppett's Derby-bound Droopys Byron gets on at the Stowe. Plus we'll be joining young trainer Phil McComish in his kitchen.
The Dogs, in association with the British Greyhound Racing Board.